We'll go right into the new business. Rory, are you still on? Can you still hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we just quick approve and?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do the, so I'll look for approval of the minutes. And Rory, you'll get a copy of I'll email you the minutes, okay?
Make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Okay. Second. Okay. So 2 years ago, we rewrote the affirmative action plan, and I renamed it the Inclusion and Equity Plan for Equal Employment Opportunity. So every 2 years, we need to re-up that. So I'm going to be emailing everyone a copy of that plan. I want you to go through it and see if there's any changes that need to happen. But we'll approve it at a future meeting. But it does need to be reapproved in 2021 because that's the time frame that we put on that. So that'll be emailed out. So very soon.
Is that something we're gonna approve at the next meeting? Or is it something that we'll take a vote? How are we doing that one?
I'm open to suggestions. I will preface that we have a new commissioner that'll be appointed next week by City Council. His name is Troy Farley, retired from Deere and Company. But he says in here, my area of expertise is affirmative action plans, which essentially that's what this is. So I'm gonna kind of want to get him also up to speed and see if he's got any recommendations or guidance. So if we can get that done at the May meeting, that would be the next meeting, great. If not, it'll just be the July meeting, I would think. But he brings in that level of expertise because that's what he did at Deere and Company. So there, we may find that there's some areas that we can bolster within our own plan.
Perfect.
So I'll definitely be looking for his. So that'll be emailed. So the police officer process, based on the fact that we have hired everyone on the list after we've certified the list over the last 3 times, we have done 3 back-to-back processes. And I'll be starting another process in April. Because this last certification process, we had 5 on the list. We've already hired 3. They start next month. That leaves 2 that will more than likely be hired here this summer for the August Academy. But I still need to go ahead and start another process, so I'm ready. Once that list is expired, I can go forward with another certified list. So that essentially is 4 back-to-back processes. This last process, though, just for, we had 93 applicants that applied, and that is a low number, but that's the fact that this is the 3rd in a row we did, so I think we were kind of exhausting the market. And other police departments in the Quad, we're all competing for the same applicants here in the Quad Cities. And a lot of times we're all hiring at the same time.
Or close, because I saw Bettendorf just came out.
They just started their process. So that's always, and a lot of times, sometimes people want to work for a particular agency. They want to work just in Davenport because they grew up here, or Bettendorf or Moline. But a lot of times they're applying for the entire region just to get on somewhere. So we're always competing. But we had 93. I disqualified 21. Those were prior drug usage, lack of education requirements, or they didn't have enough education, or they didn't have the substitute for the military service. So we invited 72 were invited to test. We only had 20 show up for testing. That was a lot of people just didn't sign up for testing, and then some did sign up and didn't show up. So we were down really quick. 2 did not pass the physical ability testing, so 18 went on to the written examination. 12 passed, so now we're down to 12 that went into the background phase. 1 didn't get his paperwork in on time by the deadline, so we had 11 go into the background phase. We had 1 withdrawal from the background phase. 2 did not pass, so 8 were interviewed. And then of the 8 that interviewed, only 5 passed. We had 3 that did not pass the interview. So this particular list, 1 African American, 1 Asian, and 3 white. All males. The African American, the Asian, and 1 of the white males have been extended employment offers. So they will start in April. 1 of the individuals, the Caucasian, is already a certified officer, so he'll be able to start right in the FTO program. And so that was kind of nice. So don't have to wait the 16 weeks for them to be in the academy. But the other 2 have to go to the academy, which starts in the first part of May. But looking back at the process before that, we were able to hire a African American, a Hispanic, and an Asian. And then the one before that, we were able to hire an Asian and a Hispanic. So we're making some progress when it comes to racial and ethnic diversity, which is heartening. So, but like I said, we're struggling with gender diversity, females.
Just a quick question. Has there been any progress as far as the percentage of minorities that have been able to advance? I know at one time, a couple times, we've talked about how in the past some of the minorities felt that they had been overlooked time and time again. And so I'm just, as we're starting to have more, I mean, does it look like any are going to have a chance at advancement? And I know that somebody has to retire or quit. I realize that. And I'm talking about a lot of this improvement's been just in the last couple years. But just out of curiosity, I mean, have there been any minorities that have?
Are you saying within the department,
Yes.
The organizational structure, being able to
Right.
rank?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, I would. As Captain Emmett has said a lot of times, and even I've witnessed this. Even though the quantity of applicants has been shrinking, we're getting fewer and fewer that are actually applying. The quality is up, and we're talking about some with advanced degrees. You know, they already have graduate degrees. But I would say my perception of the minorities within the last several cycles, they're the future leaders of the department. I can see that they have that drive, they have that charisma, that ability to go through the promotional processes.
Because I think part of our job will get easier when there are those people in the positions of leadership. Other people in the community are going to feel like, yes, I have a chance. Here's someone like me, etc.
Yeah. I definitely feel that's a good question. I'm going to share also via email this research report that I just came across. It was in Science Magazine. Someone had linked to it on Twitter or something, but researchers from the University of California in Irvine, University of Pennsylvania, Princeton University, and Columbia University did a study focused on the Chicago Police Department. And the title of this, The Role of Officer Race and Gender in Police-Civilian Interactions in Chicago. And a takeaway from this, they talk about the diversity of officers does have an impact. They say really quickly, relative to white officers, Black and Hispanic officers make far fewer stops and arrests, and they use force less often, especially against Black civilians. And then female officers are also use less force than males, a result that holds within all racial groups. These results suggest that diversity reforms can improve police treatment of minority communities. But this was just released February 12th. So you'll get an email of this. It's difficult to read because it's very research heavy and it's scientific. But a lot of great graphs, but they dived deep into patrol, where officers were assigned and what beats, and then the rotation of days off, and then also the racial demographics of the officers and gender. But I think it's one of the first reports that I've seen that really shows that increase in the diversity of your officers does have a positive impact. So you'll get that in email. That was a very good read to come across. So, so firefighter is, we started a firefighter process.
Real quick, Scott,
Yeah, go ahead.
on that, article you're sending, is that something that can be shared to the Scott County Law Enforcement Partnership or Community Partnership?
Yeah.
I think that would be a great read.
Absolutely, yeah, this was
for
it was public or, it was on,
Yeah, of course.
available, so when you get it, you forward it on
Yep,
to however
get
you
it.
want to, yep,
Okay.
please do. You're good to get that information out. So that's the police officer process, and the demographic sheet, this one on letterhead, Alderwoman, Judith Lee had requested from the chief this information, so I went ahead and compiled this, and she also wanted to know the attrition. So I'll send this out to everyone too. You get this in email, Rory, as well. But it just breaks down the sworn personnel versus the non-sworn, and the diversity and gender of such, even the age range that we see within the police department, and then the attrition rate since 2011, over the last 10 years. So I thought that could be interesting information. So firefighter, we are going through a firefighter process right now. We're in the background investigative phase. Now, I'm not part of the firefighter process. I only do police, but just a quick rundown of what it looked like. They had 202 individuals apply for firefighter, and the initial breakdown, 75% were Caucasian, 8% were African American, 9% were Hispanic, and 5% were Asian. And when it came to 95% were female, or male, excuse me. So again, the fire department is also having difficulty attracting females to their workforce as well. So they're in the background phase. So they started at 202. They're down to 10 in the background phase. Okay. Yeah, they're down to 10. And the breakdown 9 are Caucasian, 1 is Hispanic. And I believe they're all male. Yes, they're all male. So, that won't be a very colorful list. But that's the firefighter process. And that's a 2-year list, or the list is good for 2 years, where police officer, we expire them almost too quickly. So we go through lists like just a regular process. But it'll be a while before we do another firefighter process, I would imagine, because they don't hire as many. I don't even know how many they're actually going to hire off the list, or however many. So that is that.
Any idea why such a go from 200 to
Well, and
to
honestly,
10?
it's just the testing. They've got their multi-course testing, their the physical ability testing, like the police department, but it's much more in depth. They lost a lot of people that did not pass because they were going in, so they must have had 1 drop out. So they had 201 go in, 112 did not pass that. So they lost 112 right there. And then they had 89 moving on, 31 didn't pass the written examination. So that left them down to 50. 23 did not pass the interview. That's one thing that I've learned too is we don't obviously teach the soft skills and the interview skills anymore, really, because sitting through the police officer interviews, it's striking how ill prepared some people are. Yeah, they don't know how to sell themselves. They don't know how to.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah,
I'm just doing interviews because I'm hiring.
Sure.
And between that, and all I did recently was just put a Facebook post about, send a resume and cover letter. The number ones that send resume and no cover letter is just astounding. Like, right there, to me, you've already failed. You didn't follow directions, because I said cover letter.
Or they don't know how to do it.
But you can Google it. in today's day and age, we have a wealth of knowledge, on the internet, like, how do I do a cover letter?
Yeah,
What is a
Siri.
cover letter? Siri. She might even write it for you.
Yes.
Siri, write me a cover letter, But no,
That's true.
I can definitely
Yeah.
see it in interviews. I can see a lot where they fail to have just those basic skills, like,
Mhm. Yeah.
you know.
That's crazy. The next thing on the agenda, review of current openings, just of note, if you know of anyone that possibly may be interested, there's 2 openings in finance right now, an assistant revenue manager. That's got a salary range of 63,000 up to 82,000. There's a public service cashier. Those are the individuals that work right in the revenue counter here. Though that salary range is 36,000 to 47,000. We have a lead plant operator for the water pollution control plant. That's got a salary range of 49,000 to 61,000. So good jobs. We contracted out crossing guards. We now have a crossing guard vendor called CrossSafe, but they're still struggling. There's like 10 locations out of the 21 that we usually have posted when we used to run the program ourselves. So if you know of anyone that has time in the early mornings, and then in the afternoon, essentially about an hour each time frame, we still have openings for crossing guards. And we've been sharing that on social media, so if you follow the City of Davenport Facebook, or the Davenport Schools Facebook, you probably would have seen those recently, because those just went out the past week. So those are just some of the current openings. We got a lot of seasonal positions are starting now too, so Parks is got a lot of seasonal positions. But those are just the ones of note that have some decent salaries, attached to them. And of course, we have tremendous benefits here as well at the city, so keep those in mind. Malavika had wanted me to put the commission officer positions on the agenda because she is looking to relinquish the chair. She wants to allow that to be given to someone else. So be thinking about, we'll need to fill the chair person position and the vice chair. Bob, you're currently vice chair. Usually that means you ascend to the chair, but I'll allow you to make that decision,
Whatever you need.
So-
I have the time, but if somebody,
Because
Yes.
we could, make you the chair, and then someone then could be vice chair, So we can be thinking about that. Maybe we'll take a vote at the May meeting. But that was one thing that she was looking to do. And the next thing I had on the agenda, the dissemination of the commission bylaws. We approved the bylaws at the last meeting. It was actually in the July meeting that we had. I'm going to email those out just so everyone has those in their possession. But essentially, just kind of the standard operating procedures for the Affirmative Action Commission. Pretty basic, no surprises there. And then the only other thing I wanted to add is, I think I did kind of mention this with Troy Farley being appointed next week. He'll be a good subject matter expert, especially when it comes to affirmative action plans and EEO. It looks like, I think he's also a board member of the NAACP. So,
I had 2 quick questions.
go ahead, make him, whatever.
Is there anybody, we've seen improvement since you've started working with the police department. The fire department, do they have anybody that oversees or works? Is that part of one of their goals, or?
I think it's overall a broad city goal, and not just and I've always focused a lot on public safety just because I feel that those are more of the public facing entities. But we need to increase the diversity here, even at City Hall, because I've had been in meetings where individuals, even at the NAACP, they want to see more black and brown individuals here at City Hall. So I think and I know it's a focus of Corey Spiegel, a broad base. We need to increase the diversity, not only in
Because
race and ethnicity.
it definitely, I think, has been proven it takes work to get
Absolutely,
to
yeah.
that goal.
Yeah.
And I'm just was curious. And then unrelated, but just kind of quick, at some point in time, initially, we kind of periodically used to have somebody from purchasing come and give us an idea
Of contracts and, yeah.
as far as, are we getting to minority businesses, or is it still, I mean, is it primarily just larger contractors
Sure.
that do need some minorities for participation in the larger I just, for a year or so, I haven't heard anything, and I would think.
I can just have, they can just forward me their reports and I can share
was
those,
just
yeah.
thinking with the pandemic, a lot of the local and a lot of the smaller businesses, you know, maybe we need a little outreach, I don't know.
Sure.
Even if it's just on social media, if it's nothing
Mm-hmm.
major, but just,
Okay, I'll have that, information for the, May meeting. Just kind of where we're at, what the last years look like. How many disadvantaged business enterprises have been awarded contracts.
or if they've maintained themselves, if there's been any increase. I get, on my emails, I get the job postings in 2 or 3 different categories, and I can see when they go out, but I don't always follow up to see who they were awarded to or anything.
Yeah.
I just, like you said, I know there's a lot of temporary grass mowing and planting and that kind of stuff during the summer.
Yeah. Well, even the sidewalk on Utica, that's in the 5900 block up to the 60, that would be the 6600 block. That's on the west side of Utica that we walk on a lot. The buttons are was done by Little H Construction. I was very excited when I saw that. They were a minority-owned concrete company, but they did that entire section, that sidewalk. You see their little stamps in it, Little H Construction, and that was right after I got hired, because that's when I was kind of
And he died,
focused.
and the one brother moved to Colorado.
Oh, they're not. So
Not
it's
that I know
no
of.
longer in.
And my friend
Okay.
Benjamin, who did grading he passed away in November. So I know 2 or 3 of the others have too. And so I just curiosity.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But,
Well, that's really all I had to share today. Any other follow-up questions, or so Malavika must not have been able to get her.
Uh-oh.
She's okay.
Oh, I was just gonna say, hope she's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I see her. She just lives down the block, around the corner from me. So
Oh, sure.
I
Yeah.
see her once in a while down there.
Okay.
what's the date of the May meeting?
I'll tell you. May 6th.
Here as well.
Yeah, we'll do it here. Yep.
Well, it's nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
It's nice to see people,
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
not on a screen.
And if you decide to run again,
So I will be sharing an email with all the information I shared today. So Rory, you'll be getting an email from me too. The whole commission will.
Sounds good.
And what I may do is I'll send it next week after the appointment of Troy, just so he's got that information as well. He's going to be appointed next Wednesday. So probably next Thursday, I'll send this email out with all the attachments that I was talking about. Okay? But our next meeting is May 6th.
how is my age? Her husband passed.
Oh, Vera, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now it sounded like she sent an email this morning that her husband's sister's husband or her husband's sister passed. So that's why she's not here. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So she's dealing with that.
I'm glad her son Tim got better, because I know he struggled for a while there with COVID.
Oh, did he? I see. I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
For
Okay.
he was hospitalized for a long time. Yeah, but he's good now. I didn't know that.
Okay. Well,
Super.
continue to be safe, everyone. wash your panties. And, we'll get vaccinated here soon. You wanna-
Actually, the